So we have covered extensively what TP controller is going to contain. In this video, we're going to create the initial method skeleton for the TP controller class in C#.
Right. I figure we'll take a little bit of break from theory. You've had, 2 very long videos of theory, so
They weren't too long. They were in depth.
Yes, they were.
I prefer the description in depth.
But I like coding.
Okay.
So,
Well, let's go ahead and let you code then.
So, we're going to start with our scripts folder, which I've already created inside of our scene, inside of our project view. So what I'm going to do is go to create C# script. And this is going to open up create a new C# script for me. I'm going to name this TP controller for third person controller. Hit enter to take the name. Right click on it, hit sync mono develop project. This is going to build out a project for our Visual Studio project for our project inside of Unity. It's going to take a little bit to process. Hopefully shortly it will finish up.
You just got to give it time, man.
Faster, I want it faster.
You just got to let it do its thing.
Alright, so once that's done, I should be able to double click on this.
Mm-hmm.
And if everything works well, Visual Studio will open.
Nice.
So if I...
But we've seen all this. I mean, make something. Come on.
Alright. Well, what was I doing? Oh yeah, we're going to fill this out.
TP controller. That's right.
All right.
So close out the little help window that pops up and let's roll.
Right. Now there's a couple of little things that we have to clean up first. When we come in, we get a default template of our mono behavior. And because we are going to use a mono behavior and we're going to extend from it, we're going to keep some of it, but we need to change a couple of things around.
Okay.
So first, the name of our class is actually TP controller instead of what it comes in as. I'm going to move some stuff around, delete this comment, delete this delete that comment, and all I'm doing here is formatting things the way I like to see them. This is a style preference for me. So if you like it a different way, go ahead and set it up your way. We do not have a start method. What we have is an awake method, so I'm going to take start, rename it as awake.
Okay, sure.
Now, as we mentioned in the theory, we have a couple of static fields. So I'm going to make these public, static, actually static with only
It's okay. I
one
do the
A.
same thing when I'm writing. I just put random letters down.
Well, I saw you writing. It's like, well, I could throw extra letters
Exactly.
in.
You're
Yeah.
trying to cover for me, and I appreciate that.
Well, the cool thing is mine turns red when I do that.
yeah, I don't. No such luxury in Photoshop.
But our very first one is going to be a field to hold a reference to a character controller. So I have to make this of type character controller, and I'm going to call it character controller.
Okay.
I'm very original with my naming, if you can tell.
Mm-hmm. And your spelling.
Yeah, well, I like to be original. Now, the second static field we're going to create is going to be of type TP controller, and I'm going to call this one instance. This is just basically going to hold a reference to itself. Now, for the skeleton...
Hold a reference to the current instance of itself.
Yes. Now, a couple of things. We're going to skeleton in the basic parts of this, and I'm going to fill in some of the base functionality. We'll come back and flesh out the rest of the functionality when we actually have the TP motor in place.
All right.
We have a third method that we had mentioned called get locomotion input. So I'm going to skeleton this in. I'm not going to put any functionality in here, but I did mention that this has to be called from our update. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in our update for now. Also mentioned awake is actually going to assign our references to start with. So what we'll do is we'll take our character controller and we're going to set it equal to our character controller component, but we have to find it. So to get it, we're going to call get component, and we're going to tell it to go look for a component called character controller. And because get component returns a type of object, we need to convert it. So we're going to cast this as type character controller.
Okay. Makes sense.
The other thing is we're going to tell instance to equal this, which means it's going to point to the instance that Unity creates of this of this script.
So from now on, all we have to type is TP controller dot something instead of this dot something, which comes with its own stack of problems.
Yeah, TP controller dot instance dot something.
Right. Okay.
So,
gotcha.
Now, we also said that we have a continuous check that we're going to do every update.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically just saying if we don't have a main camera, don't do anything. So we're going to tell it to go and look for the camera, which is we're going to pull a static property called main camera from camera. And if we have a main camera in it, this is going to return something other than null. But if for some reason this returns null, we know we have no main camera in the scene. And we had said that if there's no camera in the scene, we're not going to do anything. So we're just going to tell this method to return.
All right.
This basically says no camera, don't do anything.
Right.
So that is the base functionality that we're just going to code in our skeleton. We'll actually, in the next video, start talking about the motor or TP motor, how it works, what it's going to do. And then after we code that in, we can come back to TP controller and code in the functionality that we need motor for.
That's right. We've got our skeleton in place now. Now we're going to talk about TP motor. We're going to get TP motor completely coded together and then come back and put the associated functionality to make TP controller work with TP motor.
Right. Because if we were to try to access TP motor right now, which it doesn't exist, we get all kinds of errors.
Right.
Right. So in the next video, we shall be covering the theory of TP motor.
Which will wrap things up for this video. Thanks for watching.